Alright, welcome back everybody to Altcoin Daily. My name's Austin. A series of events have begun to unfold that affects you, affects your freedoms, affects your privacy. The seeds are being planted today. This is being talked about on a national level today. I want to share this with you. We have new footage of the possible surveillance state that the United States of America has begun to test, revealing their possible post-pandemic hidden agenda. And if you don't believe that the United States isn't talking about this right now, informing us, grooming us, planting the seeds, think again. Listen to the CDC's Robert Redfield, director of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, join the White House press conference yesterday. This happened yesterday, and informed the American people of what to expect in the fall/winter months of 2020, right at the end of this year. Because listen, due to COVID plus the flu, a combination at the end of this year, listen to him state that the emphasis is now on building the nation's public health infrastructure. Watch this.
I want to mention a man who's done a very good job for us, Dr. Robert Redfield, was totally misquoted in the media on a statement about the fall season and the virus. Totally misquoted. I spoke to him. He said it was ridiculous. He was talking about the flu and corona coming together at the same time. And corona could be just some little flare-ups that we'll take care of. We're going to knock it out. We'll knock it out fast. But that's what he was referring to, coming together at the same time. And I think rather than waiting, I'd ask Dr. Redfield to come up and say a couple of words just to straighten that out, because he didn't say it was a big explosion. The headline in the Washington Post was totally inaccurate. The statement wasn't bad in the Post, but the headline was ridiculous, which is, as I say, that's fake news, and CNN is fake news like crazy, and they had just totally the wrong story, which they knew. They were asked to change it, and they wouldn't do that, and it was false. So I'll ask Dr. Redfield, who is a real professional, to come up and explain, please. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Mr. President. I really do think it's important to clarify this as we build the confidence of the American people. When I commented yesterday that there was a possibility of the fall-winter, next fall and winter, it could be more difficult, more complicated. When we had two respiratory illnesses circulating at the same time, influenza and the coronavirus 19. But I think it's really important to emphasize what I didn't say. I didn't say that this was going to be worse. I said it was going to be more difficult and potentially complicated because we'll have flu and coronavirus circulating at the same time. I want to emphasize that we continue to build the nation's public health infrastructure to ensure that we have the capacity to stay in the containment mode. We are building that public health capacity now to make sure that we stay in the containment mode for the upcoming fall and winter season, so we will not need to resort to the kind of mitigation that we had to this spring. I have confidence that our public health response of early case recognition that we've talked about, isolation and contact tracing, combined with our plans for increased surveillance, particularly for the most vulnerable, will be an effective public health strategy so our nation will be able to maintain itself in the containment mode. And again, that will be supported by the American public's continued cooperation, obviously in the areas of personal hygiene and the types of social distancing strategies that may be appropriate. The key to my comments, and the reason that I really wanted to stress them, was to appeal to the American public to embrace the flu vaccine with confidence. One of the greatest tools we have as we go through the fall, winter season that we're into is to get the American public to embrace the influenza vaccine and thereby minimize the impact of flu to be the co-respiratory disease that we confront. Thank you very much.
Okay, so it's all about building the public health infrastructure, his words, and it's all about containment. And we're going to talk about vaccines in a second, because if you value your freedom, this stuff matters. But I do want to say that me personally, I have no problem with the CDC. I mean, these basic guidelines, they're here to help, I believe. I mean, 6 feet of separation, social distancing, all these things are basic things that you can do to help slow the spread. I mean, this could save your parents' life. And again, not forever, but just for a few more weeks until we can get more testing available, until we can get more data. This stuff is, I believe, generally here to help. Now, what I do have a problem with is when the state takes away your choice, when you lose your freedom, when the state chooses for you. But hey, this would never happen, right? Well, coming right out of MIT, this new workplace monitoring tool issues an alert when anybody is less than 6 feet apart. The company says the tool is meant to be used in the work setting, like in factories, and was developed in response to the request from you, from its customers. Well, actually customers including Foxconn. Delving deeper, turns out Foxconn, the customer that requested this, is from the people formerly of Google and Baidu, China's Google. And with Google so heavily in bed with the US government, it appears this Big Brother, dystopian-esque Brave New World in factories may just be the start. But hey, with a whole new system, this is going to take a while, right? To implement and integrate in every factory or place of work in America, right? Well, it also says that the tool can be easily integrated into existing security camera systems, and that it's still exploring how to notify people when they break social distancing. Of course, one possible method is an alarm that sounds when workers pass too close to one another. So, this is the possible near future. But really that all depends on how long these social distancing rules and regulations last. Some say that the US may have to endure social distancing until 2022, if no vaccine is found quickly. But let's clarify. Let's really ask the question, because 2022, that's a long way off. How about just the end of 2020? This fall, this winter, does the CDC expect things to get worse or expect things to get better by the end of this year? Listen to what Trump says, and then listen to how Robert actually answers.
We may have some embers, and we're going to put them out, of corona, but we may have a big flu season. But that's different. Flu is very different from corona.
Can I ask you a follow-up question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
sure.
so Dr. Redfield, the Washington Post, which you did the interview with them, they quoted you as saying there's a possibility that the assault of the virus on our nation next winter will actually be even more difficult than the one we just went through. And when I've said this to others, they've kind of put their head back. They don't understand what I mean. We're going to have the flu epidemic and the coronavirus epidemic at the same time. Is that what you said to the Washington Post?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say to you just a minute ago, that the issue that I was talking about being more difficult, is that we're going to have 2 viruses circulating at the same time. This spring that we just went through, February, we had a benefit of having the flu season ended. So we could use all our flu surveillance systems to say, whoops, this is coronavirus. We need to focus. Next fall and winter, we are going to have 2 viruses circulating. And we're going to have to distinguish between which is flu and which is the coronavirus. And so the comment that I made, it's more difficult. Doesn't mean it's going to be more impossible. Doesn't mean it's going to be more, as some people have said, worse. It just means it's more difficult because we have to distinguish between the two. And what I was wanting to do and what I want to do again here is appeal to the American public to recognize they can really help like they did with mitigation, which they really helped. I need them to help now to best prepare us by getting the flu vaccine and taking flu out of the picture.
Okay, so it's all about containment, which I like. But think about it, if this is what they're sharing with us, just think what they're not sharing with us. Just think what they're keeping secret from us. What I'm worried about, and I don't necessarily have the answer, if you do, let me know in the comments, but I'm worried about is how much freedoms are we going to give up in the process. The government right now is trying to help us, trying to pacify us, giving us just enough not to start a revolution. I think a silver lining in all this is, at least from a monetary perspective, we have a distributed, decentralized, censorship-resistant form of money that has a fixed supply, that has no centralized single point of failure. That's up today. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. That's the video for today. We will see you in a couple hours for this charity poker tournament. Like we mentioned earlier, Aaron and I were featured players, along with the best of them, so we will see you there, and see you tomorrow.